Greetings, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Cunard, bringing people together for 180 years. Brought to you by Cunard and Baxter Media. I'm Dan McDonald with Baxter, and today is Tuesday, February 4th. As always, before we get started, I'd like to let all of you know that if you have any questions during this webinar, you can just type them into the Q&A box, which is found right in your black Zoom toolbar, and those questions will be answered after the presentation has finished. Also, if you have any problems hearing or seeing the presentation, just type a quick message into the chat box and I'll do my best to assist you. Be sure to stay signed in for the entire duration of the webinar today to be eligible for the prize, which of course is an Amazon gift card. Presenting today is Steve Smotries, Vice President of Sales for Cunard North America. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to have you, and since you're already sharing your screen for us, you can get started whenever you're ready.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I do want to apologize in advance. I've got a little bit of a scratchy throat, so if I'm clearing my throat, I've got water nearby, got cough drops nearby just in case, so we should be okay. But I'm really excited to have this opportunity to talk to you all today and share all the exciting things that are going on in the world of Cunard. So much happening, and I always, let's see if I can get this going here. Okay.
On your system, I guess it might be right arrow.
There we go. Okay. So I always like to kick off with a little bit of a few pictures of myself and some work adventures and also some personal imagery. But I am Steve Smotries. I oversee all of sales for Cunard North America. Now we are a very global brand, so I do just concentrate on our market. The other thing I want to share with you is our Facebook page. Now we set this up about 1.5 years ago, and it is just for you, our travel advisor partners out there. And we do this as it's a great channel to communicate with you all. So follow us, Cunard NAM Sales, and we put all of our latest offers out there, a lot of information about how to sell Cunard, selling tips, and a lot of things just to try to keep it fun. So we do have a good time with it, and it's been a really, really fantastic way to stay in communication with you all. And I do respond to all the comments and questions that I get on here. So let's get into it. Those of you that don't know Cunard has been around the longest. As you saw in the beginning, we are celebrating 180 years, and that's pretty special when you think about it. There's not a lot of companies, let alone cruise companies, that have been around nearly that long. And so Cunard is very much an industry icon. Now that being said, we are relatively small today, only 3 ships in this world of so many different cruise lines and new ships being built every day. But we really believe in just really kind of refining the Cunard experience. We receive multiple awards every single year for our ships because they are truly special. Now this history is fantastic. It is a legacy, famous ships, famous people on board. The list goes on, and you could spend a whole presentation just talking about the history of Cunard. But we want to talk about Cunard today. Today it is a very contemporary brand. Now we do have there's a lot of classic experiences, a lot of things about the Cunard history that we do bring into the experience today. But it is a modern brand, very contemporary in every sense, and so much for everyone. Now when we talk about the brand, we think about it in a very emotive way. So we say when you're on board, you're going to feel special, you're going to be inspired, and you're going to enjoy the freedom. And the way I put this presentation together is really kind of framed around these emotions that you feel when you're on board the Cunard ship. So we're going to start the first part of the presentation talking about special and how you will feel special on board. So, you know, I think it's really special that Cunard has this history of celebrity. We've had so many celebrities over the years that have joined Cunard and sailed on Cunard, and that continues today. Every single year we have a number of celebrities, dignitaries that come to us and they want to sail with us. And that really extends to well, I would say it's been about 2 years now. Cunard hosted the very first world premiere of a Hollywood major motion picture on board when Cunard hosted The Greatest Showman. And this was a spectacular event. We had all the stars on board, red carpet, and we like to say things like this only happen on Cunard. Now, we also get a number of, as I said, we get stars every year that come on board. We had a couple that sailed last year that that did transatlantic crossings with us and did a testimonial. So I'm going to show a quick video of what they had to say. So let me toggle over to that real quick. And here we go.
This is my second transatlantic cruise. I did it once before with my mum. It was so fascinating. There were so many interesting things to do, and talks and recitals, and just this whole idea of being away out of the world for 7 days. That never happens, you never have that experience anymore. I sailed the Atlantic.
And you brought your mother?
I took my mum, yeah, on the Queen Mary 2.
There's like a roaring 20s type theme on the ship.
That's a fancy one.
Which is and so we went to England, and then we went all the way across the Atlantic Ocean back to America. My wife and I took dance lessons. We learned how to do a slow waltz, which was very classy. Like, it's got a ballroom, and you go to meals, and you have to wear a coat, and it's really cool. It's a really interesting thing. And I'm this little kid from Detroit. I never thought I was going to be able to do something like this.
Wow,
So
I bet that's better than a cruise. Like, you're out in the middle of damn nowhere.
Oh yeah, we got to go visit the bridge. It was so awesome. We were on the bridge, and you're just looking out, at this expanse of ocean of dolphins jumping through the water. I was just so thankful and so grateful to be able to do it.
So I know that was a little crackly, it sounded like on the sound, but hopefully it came through okay, and you got a little taste of that celebrity that is on board. Every year that happens. So let's continue here. The other ways you're going to feel special on board is our White Star service. Now, the White Star service is really kind of underpins the whole Cunard experience, and this is part of our legacy. Now, the name White Star, I think people will recognize as that was the cruise line of the Titanic. And so it's kind of a fun story there, and what happened there. Well, I guess not a fun story for the Titanic, but it's interesting that when the Titanic went down, obviously, the company probably wasn't going to recover from something that devastating. And White Star had close connections with the British government, as did Cunard. And the British government made a really sweet deal for Cunard if they would absorb White Star. And so the one part of White Star that Cunard kept was the service element. And so our White Star Academy is something that is renewed frequently. Everybody on board our ships recently went through our White Star training, and they get different pins for the different levels that they achieve. And so this is a really, really important part of the Cunard experience. And that is seen throughout the ship, like our white glove, White Star service on our afternoon tea. But you'll see it throughout our ship all the time. Now, moving on, I wanted to also talk about the Grills Suites, and I think this is one way that your guests will very much feel special on board, and we call it your private address at sea. Now, our suite experience is a very high-level luxury experience. We have suites that are as large as 2,400 square feet. We have an apartment duplex on Queen Mary 2, and as you can see, the attention to detail, the decor, very special. Our grill suites we have so many guests that just come back over and over again. And in fact, they know the suite that they want frequently. But as you can see, amazing accommodations that you'll have there. If you're in the Queen's Grill, you're going to have a butler that's going to tend to your every need. Things like packing and unpacking for you, private deck space that are only for those grill guests, and really high-end amenities. Now, I think one of the misconceptions that comes with our grill suites is people, and I think it's also the history of Cunard, is people will always come up to me and go, "Oh, you guys still have the class system." And so I think that they've got this image of like the Titanic and the people behind the fourth class, and they can't get out. But I would argue that Cunard is nowhere close to a class system. The only difference between people who are in our grills, again, our suites experience, and everybody else on the ship is really just the dining. It's really your accommodations, your suite, and your dining. It's not a whole section of the ship you can't access. So it's just a dining room that's different. And this is an example of the Queen's Grill dining room, which is a really beautiful space. As you can see, a lot of tables for two. We do a lot of tableside preparation, and it is a high-end dining experience. If you don't see anything on the menu you like, which is an amazing menu, you can actually order off the menu. So our Queen's Grill, this is that restaurant. We have the Princess Grill restaurant, which is adjacent to this and looks very, very similar. And then they share a lounge. And aside from that, everything else on the ship is available for all guests. There's not a part of the ship that you can't access just because you're in the grill or you're not in the grills. And they also have a alfresco dining area that sits in between those two restaurants, which is really wonderful. So it's a fabulous experience, but if you're not in the grills, you're not going to feel like you're missing out on anything. Now, the other way you do feel special on Cunard is our gala balls. I think this is something that Cunard is very much well known for, the dressing up aspect of it all. Now, this is something that we embrace. I think the dress code, sometimes people are intimidated by it, but it's really only, I think you always have to put it into context. So if you're on a 7-night sailing, you're going to have 3 gala balls. These are our formal nights. And every other night is what we call smart attire. And I'll get a little bit more into the attire a little bit later, but let's just talk about the gala balls because they are special. You don't have to get dressed up, but believe me, it is a party, a themed party. One night it's a Roaring 20s night. This is a picture I took on the black and white ball. Here's another picture I took when I was on board for the Roaring 20s night. And it is very much a party atmosphere. It's not just about getting dressed up for dinner. After dinner, the whole ship is a party, but it really comes to life in our Queen's Room, which is the largest ballroom at sea with the largest dance floor at sea, where we've got a live orchestra every single night, and it is so much fun. Now, you can also go and have take in a great show in our Royal Court Theater. And on Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria, we also have these royal boxes, and there's nothing as special as spending an evening seeing a show in one of these royal boxes. It's a small fee of $25 per person per evening. And what you get for this, so there's a little reception area behind the boxes where you can come before the show. They serve canapes and small desserts. And then waiting in your box is a bottle of champagne to make it that much more special. So it does really make that evening that much better. So we're going to move on from special now to when you're on board, you're going to be inspired. Now this starts with our iconic ships, our great entertainment, and our Insights lectures, which I will talk a little bit more in detail. Now our Insights program is a very, very special part of the Cunard experience. We find that the psychographic of the Cunard guests is typically guests that are beyond a vacation. They're looking for enrichment. And so on every single Cunard sailing, you're going to have 4 to 6 lectures. They are experts in their field. They're very dynamic speakers. And this theater that you'll see there in the top right, it is standing room only for every single lecture. So it is something that really surprised me of how engaging and fantastic these lectures are, and something that people are always looking forward to. Now, I showed you the royal boxes. Now, this is a better image of the theater. I think these theaters are really inspiring. You know, and you look at it, it looks like something out of like London West End or on Broadway. Again, that attention to detail, that kind of classicness look that you'll see throughout the ship. And I think it really comes to life here in the Royal Court Theater. And our shows are very inspiring. We curate most of our talent are from classically trained schools like the Juilliard School. And so our performances and our performers are very, very high end. Now you're gonna we also have the first ever planetarium at sea. So that same theater that we do our lectures on Queen Mary II, During the day, there's a small section of seats in the middle, and a dome will drop down on you. The seats recline, and it becomes a planetarium. And these shows are really, really fantastic, and people love them. And it's something that we've had on Queen Mary 2 since she came on the scene in 2004. So very popular experience on board. Now, as an extension of our Insights program, we've been doing more and more special event voyages. Now, these have become extremely popular on board. And what we do, this is just an extra layer of entertainment on top of the great entertainment you're going to have on board any Cunard sailing. But just want to give you a little example of what's coming in 2020. We're going to do a fashion week at sea. This will be the 5th year of that. And let me show you exactly what that looks like. We are going to have Bagley Mishka on board. They are going to be unveiling their new line. We're going to have models, they're going to do runways, they're going to do lectures about the world of fashion. And so this is going to be our 5th anniversary of Transatlantic Fashion Week, which has become extremely popular on board. We also partner with Ancestry.com, where we do a journey of genealogy. And this really makes a lot of sense for Cunard because Cunard has a significant history of being part of the immigration of people from Europe to North America. In fact, 1 of every 5 people who immigrated to North America did so on a Cunard ship. So there's that fantastic connection there. This will also be commemorating the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower. So that's that much more special there. But this is going to be a great experience where there's going to be experts on board that will help you trace your family lineage. And there's also a great post experience to Ellis Island. So we did this once before, a couple of years ago. It was extremely popular. And again, having experts like Ancestry.com makes all the sense in the world. We're also going to be doing our very first Transatlantic Music Week. Now, this is going to be very interesting. We're going to be bringing all kinds of different genres of music on board. So Midge Ure, who is an alternative music star, is going to be performing. Faith Prince and Seth Ruzitsky, who are both stars on Broadway. Faith Prince is a Tony Award winner. And then we're also going to have the choir that performed at the royal wedding. We're going to have some jazz bands. So there's going to be all those different kinds of great music, and that's coming this October. We also will be celebrating World Space Week, where we'll be celebrating women in space. We'll have astronauts, we'll have scientists from NASA, and this is extremely popular. It's been one of our most popular theme cruises that we've had in recent years. We will also be celebrating London Theatre at Sea, where we showcase Olivier Award-winning talent, both on and off stage. And we'll be doing our very first Festival of Food and Wine. We know this is going to be extremely popular. We're going to have experts from that world. We're going to have tasting experiences on board, and we're going to have excursions going to different wine regions as well. Now, inspired, I think this is also, as I said, about iconic ships that we have had in our fleet over the years. Well, we're going to be, in 2022, we're going to be welcoming the next generation of Cunard ships when our brand new ship arrives. Yet to be named, but we will have a naming announcement coming this spring, which is very exciting. What I can share with you is that she will carry 3,000 guests. And I think in today's world of ships being built, it's kind of medium size. In the luxury space, Cunard is a little bit larger experience, but I think what we really think we offer in that is we can provide still a very intimate luxury experience, but we can also provide a great breadth of different entertainment, different lounges, different venues for your guests to enjoy. Now, the design team is being led by Adam Tahani, who has been the interior designer on a number of world-class restaurants and hotels, and he most recently was the designer on Seabourn's newest 2 ships, Encore and Ovation, which if you haven't seen those, they're amazing ships. So we had this steel cutting ceremony recently in Italy, and that's really exciting that that's been kicked off. So look for news on that, on the naming ceremony. I think it's going to be this coming April. And then following that announcement, we're going to be doing some different unveilings of different venues and renderings. So very, very exciting time in Cunard's history, where we'll be welcoming the 249th ship to ever carry the Cunard flag. Now moving on to the next emotion, which is enjoy the freedom. So on Cunard, you're going to have so much flexibility and so much freedom to do what you want when you want to do it. And I think that's what luxury guests really expect today. So during the day, very, very casual. You know, I think, again, people think Cunard's very, very dressy and you always have to be dressed up. During the day, completely casual. There is no dress code. So much to do. Unique experiences like doing fencing lessons, going and seeing a lecture, as we mentioned, great venues like a British pub, fantastic pool space, dance lessons, the list goes on and on of everything that you can do during the day. In the evening, definitely the style goes up a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you have to get dressed up. But of course, as we mentioned, we've got things like the gala balls. The style very much does dial up to a different level in the evening. Now, I do want to get into the dress a little bit more, because it probably is the other misconception that I get all the time, that, oh, you know, my luxury guests, they really don't want to get dressed up every night. So again, it's not every night. On our gala evenings, 3 out of 7 nights is typically what you will see. And you don't have to wear a tuxedo. For men, what we recommend, bring one dark suit and you're going to be set. That's all you really need. It can be any dark suit and a tie and you're good to go. Ladies, something as simple as a cocktail dress and you're good for a gala evening. Now on our non-gala evenings is what we call smart attire. Now we still require men to wear a coat, but as you can see, it can be very relaxed. The gentleman on the left is wearing a sweater underneath. You could have just a fairly casual shirt. As long as you've got the coat on, you're fine. As you can see, the ladies on the right, definitely dressed down a little bit, much more casual. So much more relaxed than you might think. Now, if you really don't want to get dressed up, excuse me, we have venues every single evening that are completely casual. So for example, our Golden Lion Pub, where you can go and actually have a gastro pub dinner on Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria. That's completely casual in the evening. Our casino, our nightclub, which is on Queen Mary 2, is called G32. On Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria is called the Yacht Club, completely casual. Our King's Court, which is our anytime dining, and our Corinthia Lounge, they are casual every single night. So jeans, casual shirts, sneakers, completely fine. So your guests do have that flexibility if they don't want to get dressed up. And as I said, it is not stuffy. Relax during the day and casual options at night. Now I mentioned the Golden Lion Pub. This is one of the most popular venues on board the Cunard ship. During the day, you're going to have soccer matches or any big sporting events going on. We're showing it there. We have things like dart tournaments in the evening. Again, great place to go if you want to be casual. So you can dress casual. You can still have dinner there. We have live entertainment. We have things like karaoke. So it is one of the most popular venues on board the ship that is always popular throughout the day. And of course, that great pub lunch. Now, our main specialty restaurant is called Steakhouse at the Veranda. Very high-end dining experience. Now, the name Veranda is inspired by ships of the Cunard's past. So, interestingly, if you go to the original Queen Mary, which is now a hotel in Long Beach, California, and you go to the back of the ship, you will see a restaurant called the Veranda Grill. Now, this was the original alternative dining restaurant. It was a high-end dining experience that people aspired to take part in. So we took the decor from that as inspiration for this restaurant, our Steakhouse at the Veranda. It is a small service charge of $39 per person per evening, and I believe it's $25 per person for lunch if you'd like to dine there for lunch. So extremely popular venue that guests really, really love. And so let's move on. Now our other alternative dining option is a pop-up dining experience. So in our buffet area, which we call King's Court on Queen Mary 2, and we call Lido on Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria, there's one part of that area that in the evening is partitioned off, and it becomes a pop-up dining experience each evening. So the theme of that changes. That one night it's an Asian fusion called Bamboo. One night it's an Indian themed restaurant called Coriander. Another night it's barbecue and it's called Smokehouse. We do an Italian night one night, it's called La Piazza. And then we do a Mexican experience called Aztec. And so there's a picture of the Bamboo the one evening. And so this has been very popular. It's a really inexpensive service charge of $17 per person per evening. And we recommend that you book this early because it does sell out on a regular basis. Now, as I mentioned, the great thing about having a little bit larger ship in a luxury experience is that you have room to have all kinds of different venues to choose from on board. Now, our midship bar is one of our most popular lounges, and we have a gin fizz experience on board. 40 different gins, including a gin that's named after each one of our ships. And I will tell you, they are all very different and unique. And I think gin is one of these spirits that's kind of has had a bit of a renaissance. And you can do this gin tasting experience there where you get small bites and they prepare the cocktails. They show you how the gin is made. And these great handcrafted gin cocktails that are made there as well. Chart room, also one of our most popular venues on board. I think people love going here for pre-dinner cocktails and glasses of wine. Our yacht club, as I mentioned, this is our nightclub on Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria. Love the space, high on the ship. The windows are covered up in this picture, but when they open up the windows, it's got a great view because it's high on the ship. You get a live contemporary band every single night, so playing a lot of rock, and then there's a DJ that goes till probably about 1 or 2 in the morning each night. Really popular place in the evening if you want something a little bit more contemporary instead of the live orchestra that's in our Queen's room. Of course, a full casino. Casino is fantastic here, and it is casual. And then my favorite venue on board is called the Commodore Club. Now, this is the front of the ship. You've got this great 270-degree panoramic view, as you can see there in the background, looking over kind of the expanse of the ocean. And again, fantastic cocktails and decor in this room. Now, I think you always have to, if you're talking about Cunard, you have to talk about the kennels. No presentation is truly great without a picture of a dog, in my opinion. So we have the only kennel experience at sea, only on Queen Mary 2 and only on transatlantic crossings. So this is a picture of their private deck. We have 24 kennels. The small kennels are $700 for a transatlantic crossing, and the large kennels are $1,000. And that takes care of everything the dogs need. We take care of all the paperwork ahead of time. We find out if there's any dietary restrictions that the dog may have, any kind of medical needs. And the only people that can access the kennel area are the owners, and of course the staff, the kennel masters are there. Now, as I said, this is their private deck that can only be accessed by the owners and the staff. And of course, we want to take care of our four-legged friends from both sides of the pond. So we've sourced an actual Brooklyn fire hydrant and an actual Liverpool lamppost to take care of everybody's needs. But there's also an indoor playroom. The best part is when they let all the dogs, if they feel like they can all play nice together, they let them all run around the deck and they're perfectly safe, and it is something to see, I'll tell you. Now we have a brand new spa experience called Mariel. Now this was put together for us by our friends at Canyon Ranch. They are experts in wellness experiences, and so no one better than to have them come and create this experience for us. They were running our spa experience on Queen Mary 2, and we're excited to have them now run our spa on all 3 ships, and including the 4th ship coming in 2022. So it is, Mariel means the effervescence of the ocean, or the fire of the ocean. And so, you know, I think wellness makes a lot of sense, especially on a transatlantic crossing, because I think wellness experiences are all about detaching from your everyday world and reinvigorating yourselves. And so it is not just about the spa, it's also about wellness lectures, it's also about fitness and diet. This whole Mariel experience is all about. And we're really proud of what this has become on board. And I think, again, in particular, it works really well on a transatlantic crossing, but I think any Cunard experience, wellness is extremely important. And so we wanted to make sure we had a world-class wellness experience on board. And again, if we're going to do that, let's go to wellness experts like Canyon Ranch, and they've done an amazing job of bringing this together. Now, again, Mariel is taking elements from the ocean, the healing power of the ocean, and bringing it into treatments that they do on board. And you know, I think it really works extremely well on board Cunard. Now, I also have got some did you knows here, because I think there's some things that surprise people about Cunard. So did you know we have a full kids program on board? And I think that surprises people a lot of times, because they don't really think about kids being on board. But we don't get a ton of kids, but we are prepared for a lot of kids if we happen to get them. We have 3 different kids zones for different age groups. In fact, we take kids as young as 6 months, and have nighttime care. So if parents wanted to go and have their night out on town experience during one of the gala nights, their kids are well taken care of. And so that has been extremely popular on board. We actually have single staterooms on all 3 ships. I think we've all seen a huge growth in solo travel, and we really cater to this on board, not only having the single staterooms, but we have a number of mixers that we do for people who are traveling solo, so that they kind of create that community on board. You know, one of the things that always surprised me when I first sailed on Cunard is it is very much a community on board. It is a very social group on board of like-minded individuals. You know, I found I was traveling my very first transatlantic crossing by myself, and I might go someplace like, say, afternoon tea and be sitting alone, and people every time would invite me over to join them. So it is very much a community. So I think single travelers, solo travelers really enjoy the Cunard experience, because it really does lend itself well to meeting new people. We do have dance hosts on every single sailing. So again, those solo travelers, or sometimes there's couples traveling and one likes to dance and one doesn't. Well, there's always somebody to dance with on board. Now, of course, with our rich history, we have so much memorabilia from over the years, Cunard ships of the past, images from famous people that have been on board and whatnot. So we have a maritime history walk that you can do, and it is truly wonderful to kind of take a step back in time and see everything, all the fantastic history that Cunard has. We have Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts that are on most transatlantic crossings. They do things like acting lessons, and they do small performances and interact with all the passengers on board. Really fun. Most of our performers are classically trained, the likes of the Juilliard School, which I mentioned earlier, and all entertainment on board is available to all of our guests, part of our cruise fare. There's never an extra charge for anything like that. Now, I thought I'd also share kind of who are the typical Cunard guests, because I think that's where sometimes advisors struggle with Cunard is like, well, I don't know, I hear it all the time. Well, I don't know if I have got anybody in my database or know anybody who would like Cunard. And I think it surprises people of how many people really do have something about them that they would love the Cunard experience. So here's some ideas. Guests who love enrichment and new and unique experiences. We find that is the psychographic of the Cunard guests. Typically people who are very social and also people that are looking for enrichment. Guests looking to celebrate. I mean, nobody puts on a party or an event, that sense of occasion that only Cunard can create. Those who like the idea of a night on town. No one creates a night on town experience like Cunard. I always think of it as, say you're going to New York City and you're going to do a night on town experience there, or London even. So you might get dressed up a little bit more than usual. You're probably going to go to a great 5-star restaurant. Then you're going to go to Broadway or West End and see a great show. And then maybe you're going to go and look for some great live entertainment afterwards, some dancing or something like that. Well, you can do all of that on a Cunard ship in the middle of the ocean, and think about how special that is. Also, social travelers that enjoy a cosmopolitan crowd of like-minded individuals. Very cosmopolitan on board. I think that's a great word to describe Cunard. We source about half of our guests from the UK, about 22 to 25% of our guests from North America, somewhere around about 12% from Australia, and then the rest is really a sprinkling from all over the world. So it's a very, very global audience on board, and I think that makes it that much more interesting. Luxury guests who expect the best, and entry-level luxury travelers. So I think, Cunard, I talked about the grills a lot, and the grills are great for those high-end luxury guests. They want every little attention to detail, having that butler that takes care of their every need, having that anything goes dining experience. That really works extremely well for that ultra luxury guest. Now, I think there's a lot of people out there who maybe have luxury tastes or are starting to grow to luxury experiences. Maybe can't always afford a luxury experience. Well, if you're in the Britannia, which is our balconies and below, the price points surprisingly can be very affordable. So I think guests who appreciate a luxury experience but maybe can't always afford it, Cunard could be a good fit for them as well. And then travelers who don't care to fly. We get a lot of guests who want to travel to Europe but don't necessarily want to fly. And the transatlantic crossing is a great, nice, leisurely way to get to Europe. 7 days, we adjust the clocks an hour each day. And when you get there, no jet lag. So we've had, I know a number of advisors who've had a lot of luck pairing a transatlantic crossing with an European FIT experience. So these are just some ways that you might think about positioning Cunard. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about our destinations. Now, we really sail all over the world. I don't have a slide for World Cruise, but I want to really mention and emphasize World Cruise. Cunard has been doing World Cruises longer than anyone else. We did our very first World Cruise in 1922 on the Laconia. So we've got a centennial coming up in 2022, which is really exciting, where we are planning to recreate that very first World Cruise. But every single year, Cunard does typically 2 very different and unique world cruises. We've been doing world cruises longer than anyone else, and I think we are the experts in the world cruise. Now, you can do anything from a segment of a world cruise, like a 5-day segment, all the way to a full circumnavigation of the globe over somewhere between 100 and 125 nights. So there's a lot of flexibility with the world cruise and a lot of different ways to see the whole world. Now, I want to share a couple of our newer itineraries. As I said, we sail all over the world. Significant content in Europe. We have one of the most diverse offerings of European itineraries in the cruise space. Most of those out of Southampton, so the air is very, very simple. But one new itinerary that I wanted to share is Japan and Asia. We've significantly grown our content there, especially around Japan. We're doing a number of 9-day round trips around Japan, round trip Yokohama. And that's going to be this spring. So a number of those coming up, but we do have space on those. They're selling extremely well, but we do still have availability there. And then in the fall, we're going to go right back to Japan and do some more round trips. And those are going to be round trip Tokyo. And then we're going to do some Southeast Asia and before the ship moves down to Australia. A lot of Australia, New Zealand content as well. Now, of course, I think Cunard is known for that legendary transatlantic crossing. That is what Queen Mary II was built for. She is the grandest ocean liner ever built, the only ocean liner carrying passengers today. She's actually the fastest passenger ship at sea. So she's a very, very special ship. Again, made for that transatlantic crossing. So very different in design. So if you're to look at Queen Mary II from the front, she's got a very narrow V-shaped hull. She has about twice the thickness of steel of any other cruise ship out there. And she has very special stabilizers. She sits very deep in the water. She has a very deep draft. All of these things make her very, very stable. So no matter what the conditions, since she's sailing across the North Atlantic, you're never going to feel the kind of rocking that you would on a typical cruise ship. You'll feel the up and down of going over waves, but you don't get the side to side like you would on a cruise ship. So she's a very powerful ship, very, very special. Nothing like her out there. That transatlantic crossing, it surprises you in so many ways. The week goes by so fast. I hear so many people always tell me, well, you know what, I reluctantly did a transatlantic crossing. I thought I'd be bored. I brought a lot of books to read, and I didn't open one book the whole time because there was so much else to do on board. So it is truly a special experience. Now, our newest trade is we have returned to Alaska for the first time in 20 years. Now, in 2019, we did our first Alaska season in 20 years. We did a short season of only 4 sailings. And we are growing that in 2020 to do 9 sailings. Now these are, this is an actual picture. This is not Photoshopped. This was Queen Elizabeth last year at Hubbard Glacier, and really spectacular shots that we got there. So, we know there's a lot of great product up there, obviously in Alaska already. We think we're doing something very different and unique up there. So here are some of the differentiating elements of our experience. We're doing 9 round trip sailings out of Vancouver. So that makes the air very simple. Every single sailing has 6 ports and 2 glaciers, not 1, but 2 glaciers. And Glacier Bay is one of those glaciers on every single sailing, and that is an iconic place to see. We do a full day call in every single port. So ports like Victoria tends to be a half-day call. We are there a full day well into the evening. We also pick days to be in ports when it's a little bit less crowded because there are so many ships up there. And then we do have a number of Alaska-inspired experiences on board. Queen Elizabeth, she's really kind of the perfect size ship for Alaska. There are some places in Alaska you can't go if your ship's too small, and there's some places you can't go if your ship's too large. Well, Queen Elizabeth is right in between, so she can really go anywhere and all the greatest places to see in Alaska. And we also have a great partnership with Rocky Mountaineer. This is one of the examples of what our itineraries look like, but there is a great variety. Again, they range between 9 and 12 nights. The 12 night goes all the way up to Kodiak. So there's some nice variety in the itineraries as well. And of course, fitting into our Insights program, we've got world-renowned explorers and naturalists on board. The gentleman on the left, Sir Randolph Fiennes, he is considered the greatest living explorer in the world. Rachel Cartwright is one of the world-renowned naturalists. And not exactly sure what a mountaineer does, but I think Kenton Cole, by that picture, I think he's probably an attraction by himself. Again, I think we've got some really great lectures to be part of our Insights lectures. As I mentioned, pre and post land experience or rail experiences on Rocky Mountaineer to Lake Louise and Banff. So, you know, can expand that experience beyond that cruise to an amazing rail experience as Rocky Mountaineer is experts up there. I also want to remind everybody, we've got great combinability of offers. All of our limited time offers combined with our group program, with our cruise sales. Our cruise sales have an onboard credit and a bonus commission as part of it. You can also combine that with a military benefit and our onboard bookings. If you make an onboard deposit, it is fully refundable. That business goes automatically back to you. And so it's a no-lose proposition. All of these things combined, so we try to make things very simple, that all of our offers combine and all of our programs combine. And we've got a great resource. Cunard OneSource is our travel advisor portal. Great assets, all of our latest offers, a lot of different information there to really help you sell Cunard. And so with that, I want to thank you all for the time, and hopefully we've got some great questions out there. Daniel, I'll turn it back to you.
Steve. Thank you, Steve. That was fantastic. So, of course, we'll take a few minutes now to answer the 6 or 7 questions that have been submitted to the Q&A box. So first up, Donald asks, I have a couple that asks about QE doing ATW in January 2021 for 98 days. They said they got booking information sent to them. I can only find 97 days partial on the Victoria. Can you advise if the QE is doing ATW in 2021?
ATW. What? Say that again?
Yeah, A-T as in Thomas, W.
ATW. Okay, so I'm not sure. I would recommend calling our customer service team. They are very educated on the Cunard product and can help you out on that. Queen Elizabeth, I know she's not doing a world cruise. She's actually going to be doing, she does Australia, New Zealand. Right now she's down, I think down in Australia. She's working her way, then she'll work her way up to Japan. She'll do her Japan season. Then she'll come over to Alaska, then she'll go back to Japan. So she's not doing the full world cruise, but Queen Mary II and Queen Victoria are doing world cruises.
Right, and Donald says he meant around the world. I wasn't sure about that either. Thanks, Donald, for clarifying.
Yep.
Right,
so yeah, our world cruise ships right now are Queen Victoria and Queen Mary II.
Right, that's excellent. Okay, thanks, Steve. The next couple of questions are, so 2 questions that were asked that are pretty similar. They were about the royal boxes.
Yes.
The first question was, can they be reserved prior to boarding or only once on board the ship?
Right now, it's only once on board. It's something that we're going to look into, trying to make that pre-cruise to reserve. But if your guests inquire once they get on board day 1, they will definitely be able to get that. They don't sell out every night, so they shouldn't have any problem.
That's great. Okay, and that answers the next question, was just if you can book in advance, how far in advance? So that answers that. Thank you,
Yep.
Steve. Let's see. Donald also asked, are you taking registrations on ship 249 yet?
That is a popular question. We are not, but I can tell you that it is most likely going to go on sale this coming September. Now that is unofficial, but that is the plan right now, this coming September. Obviously, once we get a little bit closer, especially once we do the naming, we will definitely give you on sale information about it. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of buzz around it. You know, a new Cunard ship is not something you get every day. So there's a lot of excitement around that happening. So there'll be plenty of information and pre-notice about the on sale.
Perfect. Okay, that's great. And Sue asks, is there any type of discount available for passengers sailing both directions within a short period of time? For example, 3 weeks spent in the UK.
Yes, so we do what's called grand voyages. Like, so you would do a transatlantic crossing, and then once she gets there, she'll do like a European itinerary, and then do another transatlantic crossing back, and we call that a grand voyage. So we do have that. There is value built into that if you book the whole thing rather than if you booked it in pieces. We also have a number of guests, surprisingly, that book a round trip crossing. So like, go out of New York to Southampton, and then right back to New York. I think there's a huge audience out there that just loves those sea days and everything that Queen Mary II has to offer.
Oh yeah, and I can see why too. And Gail says, "Thank you so much. I loved your diction speed. Very clear and interesting."
Great.
Thanks, Gail.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for that comment, Gail. And then she submitted 2 questions. The first was, can you repeat the Facebook page, please? And where can I find spa information, was her second question.
Fantastic. So the Facebook page is Cunard NAM Sales. And I can probably go back to that slide. Let me just go back up here real quick.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And so you can see that. And it's right here, Cunard NAM Sales. And again, this has been extremely popular. It's, you know, I know how you all get bombarded by so much email every day. We all do, right? We're in this world of just email. And it's coming from all directions. So I think something like this through social media, it's a great channel to communicate with you. And again, you can reach me directly through it by messaging me. So our PR team does a lot of the posts here. When I'm at events, I'll post on here, but I do all of the responses to comments and questions on there. And then what was the other question? Sorry.
Right, it was, where can I find the spa information?
Spa information. So you can do it one of 2 places. You can go to Cunard.com. We've got all the information there about Mariel, or you can go to Canyon Ranch's website, and they also have a section about Mariel on their site as well.
That's great. Thanks, Steve. And the next question was related to, does 2020 have good availability, and are there any sales? Where would be the best place for Donald to stay in the loop on that?
Yeah, great. So obviously you can go to Cunard.com, but our current sale right now that goes through the end of the month is called Upgrades on Us. It's a great offer where you get an upgrade, your guests get free gratuities and a reduced deposit. Now, the best availability for this year in particular is on Alaska. You know, we're still kind of the new kid on the block in Alaska. So, you know, creating the awareness that we're there and what our product is all about there is kind of one of our biggest focal points right now. So Alaska is a great opportunity right now. There's still a number of transatlantic crossings that are available, but there are a number of them that are selling out. Canada, New England, great opportunity there. Both over the 4th of July. We've got a great one that's round trip New York, and it's in Boston for the 4th of July. And then in the fall, we've got a number of sailings that do 7-day New York to Quebec, and then Quebec to New York. So those are great options as well. So those are the best availability, but really all itineraries have some availability. Europe's another great one. Lots out there for Europe.
Excellent, excellent. And then we have a couple of comments. The first was from Sherry, who says, I'm halfway through my staff captain ranking. I love Cunard.
Ah, fantastic. That's a great point. Our academy, Cunard Academy, if you become a Commodore on there and you sell 1 Cunard sailing, your graduation prize is a free Cunard sailing for yourself. So you can go on board and really experience the product yourself. So it's a great way. And I'll tell you, I know there's a lot of great educational programs out there like that. The Cunard one is really fascinating because you get a lot of the history, the maritime history, which is fascinating for all of us in this industry.
And then the next comment was from Peter, who said, not a question, but a comment. You guys have the best reservation staff in the cruise industry.
I love it. Thank you so much, Peter. I appreciate the comment. We really put a lot of effort into that team, and they're passionate about what they do.
That's awesome. Thanks, Peter. And we'll just allow another minute or so that's it for the submitted questions, but we'll just see if any other pop up here. And if they do, I will read those out to you, Steve.
Perfect. We also have something called Asset Bank if you're looking for imagery to put on your website or to send out in emails and things like that. There's great video content on there. And in fact, I've got one video that I'm going to put out on the Facebook page where I was on Queen Mary 2 last month, and I did a bit of a walk around the ship. So it's kind of a walking tour. So like, here's the Queen's room, and here's all the great things you can do in the Queen room. And I think what it'll be great for is giving you a sense of space on board the ship, because the Cunard ships are truly unique and different.
So I do believe that's it for the questions, but I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to tune into the webinar today. And Steve, thank you so much for your fantastic presentation today. It was great to have you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everybody, for making time today in your busy schedules.
Great. And if any follow-up emails come through to me, I will forward those over to you in the next little bit. And of course, to any of you that might have signed in a few minutes late, the recording of today's webinar will be made available on the Baxter Media YouTube channel by tomorrow. So Steve, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.